the only reason why I keep seeing this darkness is because I know that the only pact we have is with death. There's no other reason, because I know what the end looks like. We all do.
So what's the kind of truth that you're looking for when you say that you want
What do we do in between now and
truthful?
death? Well, what is the purpose of us doing anything of any value, and why do we do it at all? I mean, what...
Do you think that these are questions that you think it can be answered now?
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
a lot of people do them. I mean, I really wonder what the purpose of entertaining...
For you, I'm talking about, not for other people, because other people have different paths that
I guess,
attain those.
I'm trying, every day whenever I watch the news and all this brouhaha and this, I wonder what this is all about really in the end. All this constant fighting, hating, hate groups and politics, and I'm a political being. I engage in politics. I vibrate, I hate, I scream. At the end, I find myself exhausted, and I don't really know what it's all about. And then I turn to another channel, and there's this huge production, which I know is of no value. It'll be forgotten tomorrow. Is it really just so that the time passes more easily before we die?
Well, I mean, I think there are other ways to see it. It's, there are other ways to see that. There are other ways to see.
And what is that?
The big production, for example. I mean, you can see it as just purely entertainment, but if it has moments of resonance for you, it can answer some of your personal questions.
I'll give you a very good example.
That maybe or instigate another path of thought.
Lisa, a very good example of my eternal discontent is any youngster in the street today, in college, a learned person, a cultured person, play him Mahler's Second Symphony. The Resurrection is called. He will never have heard of it. He will not know who Mahler was. Mahler conducted here at the Carnegie Hall. He would not even have heard of Gustav Mahler or Schoenberg or any of these people. Well, that's for me the end of the world. For me, that's enough to bang your head against the wall until it bleeds. Now, that's to me in the realm of general knowledge. You need to know. Now, most people that are around us probably have some idea why the First World War began, but they don't really know. Or the Second World War, but they don't really know.
Well, so here's a question for you. When you were in your 20s,
I knew.
You knew.
Oh, yeah.
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 But do you think that if you'd ask somebody on the street, even then, that they would have an awareness of Mahler?
No, I'm not saying. No. I'm not saying
so
that
it's not
today's
a time
youth.
related.
No, I'm saying that with all the knowledge that a computer and an iPhone allow you, with all the 3,000 channels that you have available to you, and the wikis and the Googles and all that stuff, you could know more, but you don't know more. What I'm saying is that it's amazing that futility and vanity still reign.
Still, that's the
still,
question.
I'm not saying that they ever did.
So what changed for you? Because this is this condition, this is always been, I think, that there were people that there were some people are more curious and more interested in things outside of, say, their field or outside of entertainment or self-satisfaction or whatever. And that was before as it is today.
It is.
So what's changed for you?
No, it's not that. It's that masterpieces like Mahler's Second or Mahler's Fifth or Beethoven's Pastoral or you name it, even Bach's Death March like we're using, are just such precious testaments to humanity. And they're not known. They're just not known,
So are you connecting that possibly to the idea that your past as an artist, with all with the monstrous commissions and these amazing performances and people that you worked with, and this very exciting cultural experience that you had as a younger person, or even up until relatively recently. The fact that that may have changed with time, being or aging, as you say, is that where is now this is it that you feel you might fall into that category in some way?
I've never reached that height that those people have, these geniuses have reached, but I think I cannot deal with the fact that things really are completely ephemeral, and I can't deal with the fact that really very shortly in my life or in everyone's life there is death, and it's all been for nothing. It has all been for nothing, because even those geniuses that have contributed so vastly for the wealth of humanity will not be remembered. And that is a tragic thing. That is really tragic, because only a few, the top of the pyramid or the iceberg will know. And
well, history shifts too. One group
Oh,
will be
no,
in terms
no.
of popularity and who's coming. Artists that come back and stuff. But even so, I mean, the
Less and less. I mean, Schoenberg will be known less and less, and Beethoven will be known less and less, because stupid pop groups will be known more and more. I mean, even the classic
but
rock.
they'll go through the same thing.
Yeah, well,
They'll
I mean,
you could say the exact same for pop culture. Same thing. It goes in waves.
it goes in waves, but I'm talking about the ones that laid the foundations.
So
They should be recognized for what they did.
but you're not saying that this has changed over the course of your life. What you're saying is
It has
that
changed.
now
It has changed.
changed,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
you have changed in terms of how important that is to you.
I have great respect. I may not like a piece of work, but I have great respect for inventors.
Right, of course. People that
Invent-
move their form forward.
Yes,
Yeah.
those who invented the before and after them. May not like their work. I don't like Andy Warhol. I have no patience for Andy Warhol, but I bow my hat to Andy Warhol because of who he was and what he did. There was a before and after. Much more so him than so many others.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Cunningham.
See?
But yeah,
There
no,
we are.
I
I mean,
agree
there's
with
no
you there.
doubt about the
But what
genius
I'm
in it.
curious about, I mean, this is a conversation that, what I'm curious about is what's happening now. Why is that? Why is it because you feel your mortality
Well,
is,
because
is quickening? You feel the quickening, so to
well,
speak.
because now, there are some people who say that the beginning of a new century is always terrible. And this is the year 18 of the beginning of a century. As we go back, this was the end of the First World War of the last century. So a new century takes a little while for the wheel to spin, so to speak. It takes a while for it to get warm and hot. At this time, 100 years ago, Duchamp's large glass was barely 2 years old, and not recognized. It was being broken on the way to America and so on. So,
Where are the Duchamps of the world? Is that what you're saying?
well, the Duchamps of the world, Ai Weiwei is not it. Damien Hirst may be it. Well, you may not like him. That's not the point. People was pulling the same faces at Duchamp's work at the time, or any other Dadaist for that matter. But pulling faces does not disqualify
No, I think
a
it's
great artist.
no,
you know.
not at all. And I think that it's. I mean, all of that is.
We may call it
is-
bullshit. It doesn't really matter what we call it. I mean, Philip has a great sentence about his work. He says, some people like it because it sounds like Indian music. Some people don't like it because it doesn't sound like Indian music, So I think that's a great,
Taste is not really in the
and
conversation.
taste should never be applied to art because that's not a way.
Yeah.
But the audience will always use taste as a measure to measure their contentment regarding art because they have no other.
And that will also be colored by whatever is happening culturally as
And
well.
the mood of that day, you know, whether the popcorn tasted great or not. I mean, you know, you can't demand of an audience. Great, but the existentialism of it all and the ephemeralness of it all is still someone other than the existentialist movement has not really explained it yet.
And this is what you feel you need to explain in this
well,
piece?
at least I think I owe it to myself, yeah, because Sartre did some extremely good work, but fell short somewhere.
Do you feel that you need to find an answer to? I mean.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I mean, there's sort of an audaciousness in that too. It's questions that have been asked, you know.
Forever and ever.
It's never been answered,
but
as far as I know. It's such a personal
it's like
thing.
saying,
It's
well,
like, again,
they've always
it's a
been
journey.
scaling.
It's a
They've
process.
been scaling the Kilimanjaro, right? And then the balloon flying like Richard Branson, but someone will then eventually take it to Mars.
But there's also this, you know, the idea that to go into a process with an impossible end goal
It's not impossible.
is derailing the process.
I mean,
therefore it becomes actually impossible.
If you think
or
that
not an impossible end
I mean,
goal.
you believe that
it becomes impossible if the process is all about that
discovering
answer.
Do you think that the discovery of America was an impossible task?
No, we're talking about. No, we're not talking about dreams. We're not talking about aspirations or dreams. We're talking about finding the truth of human existence and human death.
A lot of people say that. Well,
and so that's what I mean. It's all process. It's all theory, and it gets into religion too.
America, and all of the Americas are a metaphor for the truth, right? To the escaping European. And the Europeans, I mean, and somebody came, I mean, other than the natives and the Incas and the Aztecs and all of those who were here, there was a fleet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that it feels to me that what you're talking about is more of a conversation than an answer. You know, than
with
the seeking of
with
it.
an end goal.
With an end goal, but with the understanding that that goal may never be achieved.
Sure, yeah, of course.
That's the whole.
Oh yeah.
But if the process is a black abyss because the lack of feeling of security in achieving it, then you don't even have the process. You don't have a chance.
Wears you out.
You know what I mean?
It physically wears you out.
But you don't have it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot before you take the first step.
No, not at all.
No?
No. I mean, we're doing this, and this is exercising our freedom
This
to
is
exercise.
This is a conversation. It's
and
not
the constant writing and staging plays and writing constantly about it is one of the possibilities that we have to instigate the investigation into ourselves.
I guess what I'm wondering is, are the questions more important
than the answers?
than in some way than the answers, but then getting the answers?
I don't think so. They sound good. They sound flourished and
because
wonderful.
the answers are so individual. You know, you can't. I mean, I know you're just looking for your answers,
No, then
and maybe that is attainable.
Lacan is very good at that. Lacan throws a question out into the open, and then everyone can adapt for their own sake.
Right. So for a theater piece, those are the good questions, or ones that now whether you are able to answer it for yourself or not.
I'd be pretty happy if I.
That would be pretty great. But is it necessary in order to move forward? You know what I mean? Is it a do or don't? You know, is it a make it or break it to be able to answer the question for yourself?
It is, because I'm so tired of wrapping an empty box, you know.
Yeah.
the wrapping is always there, but the emptiness of the box is so fucking painful. And I know how to wrap it so well with the lights and the sets and all that. But when I look inside of that box, good Lord, you know.
Yeah. And right now you're just, yeah.
The longest